We look forward to watching our wallets this morning. Yes, Mr. Drew Blazsik in studio with Faith in Finance this morning. Drew, how are you?
I'm doing pretty well. How about you?
Not bad, not bad.
Can't wait to hear your thoughts on our finances today.
Oh, me too.
I love it when they come in prepared, Dave.
No, so I was just going to, it might take two more episodes to finish up Quadragismo Anno. I'm pronouncing it right. But so we left off last time. We talked about just wages. What is just wages? When the wages become so low for men working that, and this is what it says, quote, it is wrong when wages are so low that it forces the mothers to gain wages outside of the home, and then they have to do that because they cannot provide for the family. So it talks about how wrong that is. And then
hold on. That's really important here because there's really important wording in there. Forces, right? Forces a woman to work outside the home. Obviously, not saying you can't, but if you're forced to do it, we have an economy that is not friendly to the family.
Yeah, and so it says, like, quote, it is an intolerable abuse and to be abolished at all costs for mothers on the account of the father's low wage to be forced to engage in gainful occupations outside of the home to neglect of their proper cares and duties, especially the training of children. So that's very powerful language that today's society might find offensive. Like if you had to say that in the public square, they would find that pretty offensive.
Yeah, you'd be backlashed.
But it shows how the family is number one. The family economics, the actual term means the economy of the home. It's how the family functions for the economy, what it means. So that's where we left off last time. And then it goes in to, this is where a lot of people have to interpret what it means. Justice of economic equity. You always hear that term equity. You think of a liberal progressive term. But when it talks about wealth, when we talk about that, it's talking about the distribution of wealth. That sounds like Barack Obama when he saw Joe the plumber.
Right, yeah.
That's not the same thing. We're talking about the means of production. We're not talking about someone's home. We're not talking, that's such a minimal thing of owning something. We're talking about individuals having the opportunity to have the means of production. And the Catholic Church has always promoted that the few, if they control everything, that's bad for an economy. But if you have a means of production that individuals have the opportunity to actually own, that's a good thing for society. So we want more capital, individuals to own things, and that's the opposite of socialism where no one owns anything.
An important distinction.
And this is a quote, and this is from paragraph 57. Riches ought to be distributed among individual persons and classes that the common advantage of all will be safeguarded. So in other words, the abuse that the Catholic Church stands against is when capital has a preeminence above labor. And what the Catholic Church wants to talk about here is that we need to have the common advantage of all, that individuals can own property as well. And we mean the means of production. And then it goes on, same paragraph. By this law of justice, one class is forbidden to exclude the other from sharing in the benefits. Hence, the class of the wealthy violates this law no less when, as if free from care on account of its wealth, it thinks it the right order of things for it to get everything and the worker nothing. So again, the Catholic Church wants to put on par the labor and capital, and the abuses that they saw back then was that capital had the preeminence above labor.
From a practical standpoint, bringing it into today, Drew, so we have a Catholic business owner. He or she has employees, and they're paying them fairly. We wouldn't say there's an issue in providing everything that they need, and we wouldn't say there's an issue then with them gaining profit from that, right? As long as they are being fair and just with those who are helping them to make that profit.
No, profits are good. It's more talking about when you have that control, the centralized power that you see in government, and you see the centralized power in corporations that could take out small businesses, the mom and pop stores. So we want individuals have now, it doesn't mean everyone's going to have means of production, but we want the opportunity that if people have the means and they produce it well, they should have a share in producing it for the common good in your local area. So that's what it's really shooting for.
Well, I love that document too because it's written. When was it written? But
1931.
It's so relevant today. It was like it was written over the weekend.
And then yes, and then the best lines, and I don't know if we have enough time to talk about it here. This is point 5 I have is the role of the state and subsidiarity. So it talks about. Now I'll just read this paragraph. We could carry it next week as well. This is 79. It is an injustice and at the same time a grave evil and disturbance of the right order to assign to a greater and higher association what lesser and subordinate organizations can do. So what's that talking about? When you have the centralized government trying to pass laws where the local communities can do things, it says right here, it's a grave evil to do that. So, and just, I talked to a potential governor that's running, and I brought up, you should pass the bills that it's a Catholic principle that subsidiarity, that we should have local authorities that have the power that the centralized authorities should not.
What a great
I'll talk about that next week.
Can't wait for next week. We
Thank you,
always never quite have enough time to get through, but that's what's the name of that document again?
Quadridecimo Anno.
Look that up. Drew Blazsik, ladies and gentlemen, he's a genius, I'm telling you. We'll be right back. Morning Offering continues with Ron and Dave here on Annunciation Radio.